You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. How you doing? How we doing? WNBA, did they make a profit? Woo! WNBA, is it profitable? Does Indiana Fever sell the most merchandise? Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. And finally, we'll talk about Kathy Engelbert and what's going on in that lifestyle. But the topic, or the hot topic of the day, is the WNBA. Did they make a profit? And because everybody wants to know, well, the WNBA, well, first of all, Money Mike's going to tell you this. If the WNBA makes a profit, then half of the podcasters on YouTube that cover the WNBA have been gone, because their entire logic behind this situation is the WNBA cannot make a profit. Money Mike told you that's false. WNBA can make big profits. What the WNBA likes to do is control the profits, and that's what you do by having a salary cap, right? Because you don't want to go out there and open up a cap. Let's say you make a cap $100 million. Well, that means you got to pay for it, right? So we're not making any money is what everyone else has said. They basically said, Mike, we're not making any money. That's the bottom line. So if you get right into it, how are we going to pay the players, right? And here's what I discovered, folks. And I looked at it and I said, the WNBA's got a big strike fund. It's got a big strike fund, folks. WNBA Players Association. You know where that money came from? That money came from merchandise. WNBA Players Association bought a license agreement, group license agreement from the WNBA. By purchasing the group license agreement, it gave you authority that they can sell apparel. They've been selling apparel for a long time, folks. So here's the deal. WNBA Players Association buys a license. Right? Last 5 years, they dish out $9 million. Okay, now think about this, but the players can't buy a license, but the players union can, and the players union made money. I mean, they made money off this license, and it also tells Money Mike they got a big strike fund, right? What is a big strike fund? That they got enough money that if they want to be out for a year, the WNBA, check this out, folks. I want you to understand what Money Mike is saying, because now it's put up or shut up time. In this business that we're in today, which is being on YouTube and being on the internet and being able to communicate, it's put up or shut up time. Either you can do this or you can't. And when it comes down to dollars and cents, either you're good or you're not. And half of the audience just got swept off, because if the WNBA makes a profit, guess what? Their argument is no longer valid. And I've been telling everybody for years, WNBA makes money. They make a lot of money. Right? But you get right down to it and you start looking at this and you start saying, well, what's the real deal here? What's really going on and how's this really shaking out? Because you don't really look under the couch and find $8 million, but you did. I mean, it's part of the business, so I'm not going to complain with them about it or anything like that. I'm just saying they found $8 million under the carpet, right? So let's look at it. Greg, what's going on, Gregory Bonds? My man, Gregory. You know, I love my audience. I love the members that tune in to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast, because, keep me honest, Mike, here's Greg. Did the league make a profit, or did they just reach target benchmarks for the merch-related revenue? Also, you really blew it. He's getting on me. I'm local, right? He's calling me out. You really blew it by not mentioning the Vicaries, right? I mean, local organization. I don't want to dump. I'm already from California, guys. I'm already dumping Juju Watkins on everybody. Now you want me to come in and dump the Vicaries on everybody? If you guys are okay with it, I'm okay with it, because, it's not going to kill me, but I like what you're saying, Greg. He's like, Mike, come on. Okay, so here's Greg's point. I believe they had 22 consecutive sellouts in their arena, right? They did. I mean, they're balling away, and the Vicaries are making good money. They're making big money down there, and folks, when you get somebody that's making big money, you just got to look at it and say, well, 22 sellouts, and their arena looked like a sea of purple. CC and AR had a couple huge effect on the totals, but let's not forget the hometown. I got you, Greg. I got you, man. Listen, guys. I don't want to run out Lacob on you guys too fast, because here's the deal. Lacob's a killer. He's not playing with the WNBA. He's going to run through it, right? And he's looking for special talent. But Indiana Fever, they're under the hot seat this year too, right? And as I go through this Q&A, because Indiana Fever have a succession plan. Now, the succession plan, if I'm looking at it correctly, you guys correct me, if the Simon family, Herb Simon, passes on, right? He's got somebody in line he's going to move that organization over to. They're going to move that organization that they can go in there and they can run the organization. Now, this has been in a succession plan's been in place for a long time. But guys, look, if the new owner is looking at it a different way, or he's got other people chirping in the ear, you could do this differently. This could be Indiana's put up or sit up, right? Put up or shut up moment, right? They got to get it going. But Greg, you're right. I can give the Vicaries a lot more coverage. John Witchell, what's going on? The owners and the league would make a lot more money if they started with the players still under contract and replacement players. As long as they have Caitlin Ayre guaranteed a large fan base, plus if she is playing against weaker competition, she will look that much better and draw any more fans. Now, that could be true in Indiana. Okay, John, I get you. It could be true in Indiana. But when you get to Chicago, that's not going to be true. Okay, and I'm going to bring this home for you guys with Angel Reese. Because you guys have been dogging me on Angel Reese. You guys have been dogging me out. Let me take a good cup of coffee and straighten you out. All right, y'all been dogging me out on Angel Reese. Mike, why you keep mentioning Angel Reese? Guys, listen to me. Just listen to me closely, right? You can sell whatever you want in America, right? But competition increases profit. See, the WNBA has been dominated by a few teams, right? Think about it. They're front-loaded. They were so heavily loaded. The Aces, the Liberty, you got the Aces, Liberty, you've got Connecticut was loaded up, and you got the Lynx were loaded up. That was the whole league. So all the year, everybody knew they were going to win. Why even watch it? Get to the playoffs, you go see who's going to win that, right? But now the league's not loaded up anymore, right? It's coming into parity. And here's what a salary cap does when you only allow to have so many max players. Because Las Vegas can't be Las Vegas, right? They can't be Las Vegas Aces anymore. Think about this. Las Vegas Aces cannot be the Las Vegas anymore. They cannot carry that many players under max contract unless the WNBA is going to allow Mark Davis, which he will, go over the salary cap, right? And that's the fact of life. Now, what is the battle of those four teams, right? Connecticut you had the Liberty, you got the Lynx, right? You got the Aces. That's all everybody watched in the WNBA. And here's the point I'm making. I've got my director of basketball operations. His name's Valita Johnson. I was telling you I coached her daughter, Gina Johnson, right? She is a WNBA fan by far. By far. There is nothing you could say is wrong with this league. All you folks are crazy. All you guys need to get the hell out of my league, right? If you see the name Valita, I'm telling you, she's going to come at you. So don't think she ain't coming at you, because every time I get on it, I talk about Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark, and she talking about Chelsea Gray and the Las Vegas Aces. It's almost like if you talk about the Indiana Fever, then you're going to be hated by the Minnesota Lynx. You got to understand this, folks, because they had the whole league to themselves. You're right. Caitlin came in. See, this is our Money Mike. You're getting into showtime now. Caitlin came in and made the league profitable. Made it profitable. Because you know what they had? They had a nice little kumbaya party going on. Right? They had a nice little kumbaya, get their little wine, sit on back, don't be bothered. The guys are down there in the den watching the NFL. They had nothing but peace. They had a lot of peace in the WNBA. It wasn't radical like it is. Caitlin came in, it got radical. Right? It got radical because the profit came. See, when a profit comes, profit is more demanding. See, a profit fan is going to be more demanding than a loyal fan. So when they came in here, Caitlin fan, they see how much Caitlin is balling, hitting these long-range bombs. What do they think? Look at all these other players can't shoot. Chicago Sky couldn't even shoot a three-point shot. Now, you got Angel Reese. You bring Angel in, and you're going to put her under that garbage. That's garbage. That's garbage. That's garbage. It's pure garbage. Getting FloJ, right? Getting FloJ would change everything, right? And adding a couple more players, because unless Haley Van Lith is growing to be a 6-footer, she ain't going to be able to handle the pressure. Unless Haley Van Lith can guard Kelsey Mitchell. Right? Think about that. If you can't, then why are you here? because you're not going to help Chicago beat this team. And here's the other thing about Kelsey Mitchell. I told you about Sue Bird, who's going in there and really causing all this damage and dirt and all this stuff in there. This is Showtime talking, right? This is Money Mike. You got Money Mike, but it's Showtime. I'm telling you about it. I listened to Lisa Leslie talk to Kelsey Mitchell. Might have been an interview about 4 days ago. You know what Kelsey said? I'd really like to be on the Olympic team. Kelsey Mitchell said, I don't care if I'm on the Olympic team, right? Think about this. I'm on the Olympic team, even on 3-on-3. I'll play 3-on-3. It doesn't matter. I just want to be on the Olympic team. I want to roll with my teammates, right? And that Olympic team is getting hot. It's going to get hot, folks. And I'll tell you, there ain't no way in the world you're going to look me in the eye, okay, and you're going to tell me Paige Beckers is supposed to be on the Olympic team ahead of Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell's first team all WNBA, guys. Come on. Think about that. And when you put Caitlin through what Caitlin got through, come on, guys. That's not it. But that was the way she opened up to Lisa Leslie. And I don't got a problem with Lisa Leslie. You know why I don't have a problem with Lisa Leslie? Because if I had a problem with Lisa Leslie, I'd call Pam McGee. And Pam McGee and Lisa played together. And one thing I know about this, I can tell you for a fact, Pam McGee, right, had JaVale McGee and her daughter in the league. They're both mom with 2 players in the league. Pam McGee can coach in the WNBA. I've seen Pam coach. Pam can come in the gym, coach my kids, right? You talk about these WNBA players and how they all go, and you know, I just got off the horn with my cousin Nigel again. You know, there's big moves going, but his partner's Holly. If you guys don't know who Holly is, if the WNBA doesn't know who Holly is, right, you're gonna know this, and I'm telling you, when I look at this and how it all prepared, how God laid everything out, He's laid out the platform for me. Now I'm just walking through it. But guys, at the end of the day, I mean, Caitlin shook it up. Profit fans come in the league. Fans who are bringing a profit to this league, they're going to demand more, right? When they're bringing a profit, they come to your restaurant and the food's not right, they demand more, right? You got to face facts on that one, right? But let's go, Jeff. What's going on? We got time, so I ain't cutting out on you guys today. Money Mike. For 9 minutes, for 220 to 9 million, from 220 to 225, is in reality made up of 2 years, 24 and 25, and is largely a result of one player. If the WNBA Players Association would honest on the years, it would be obvious they would be leaving that they are including the 20 and 23. Okay, so Jeff's got a great point. So here's the deal on the revenue. Okay, the WNBA say they broke the barrier, okay, in 2025. Okay, that's what the WNBA is saying. We made profits. Okay, let's back it up. Let's go to the Players Union. Here's where I'm going. I say the Players Union got a big strike fund. Don't be fooled, guys. These guys can sit out a year with these women. These women are prepared to sit out a year if they have to, because the WNBA Players Association quietly. See, one thing about women, difference between women and men, they prepare for a rainy day. We walk out there and forget the umbrella. We don't got a jacket. We just out there in the rain. The women prepare for a rainy day, like my grandmother from Alexandria, Louisiana, is putting money in a jar. What are you doing? I'm just putting this in here for a rainy day. You know, I mean, so the women are prepared for a rainy day. This is what I mean. The WNBA Players Association kicked in $9 million from revenue from merchandise. They have a license. The WNBA Players Association, the union, has a license selling more merch. Here's the deal. I got to ask myself, because Money Mike's going to ask. Unions sell more merch than the players, right? Which is kind of backwards, because if the union's got the license, you know what I'm saying? And this is where it gets confusing. The union has a group license. They can sell the WNBA merch. Well, if they put the players' pictures on the WNBA merch that they're selling, the players would sell more merch with the union, right? But the league doesn't want that to happen, because the league wants some of that merch too, right? And the whole thing is about merchandise. That's why Money Mike said, give them 100%. Just give me the merchandise. I can make $1 billion just off the merchandise. But you got a lot of players in on the merchandise game. I did not know the union had a group license and has been banking money. The union's been banking money. So if they came up and gave the players $9 million, the union's got another 9 sitting there. And man, I'm telling you, I can tell you guys right now, they got a strike fund. So call it what you want, but it is what it is. I like that. Somebody says, light a candle at Slice. Did you listen to Money Mike, or are you just slow? Hey, you know what, guys? I say a lot of things, and I try to cover a lot of bases. I try to cover a lot of ground. I really do. I think that's the important piece of it. And when I hear things like the WNBA Players Association made a huge profit, they're making a more profit than the players. Think about that. They're making more money than the players, the union. Woo! This is getting good to me. Is the WNBA profitable? Yes. Okay, but here's the deal. Do the WNBA owners control the profit? Yes, they are controlling the profit. Think about that, folks. They can open up the market, but they can't open up the market. And here's where it gets really tricky, because you're doing something that you have to do that you don't want to do. And I'm going to get to that in just a minute here. But yeah, they're way ahead on the profit. Now, Greg comes back and says, are those numbers from 24-25? Kate Martin of the Valkyries in 25. Yeah, Kate can sell some jerseys. Indiana Fever, you got loyalty on your players. I believe the Valkyries are near the top of merch sales. A brand new team. The way the Bay Area supports them, they should definitely be on that list. Yeah, that I agree. I agree, but who's going to give us the numbers? Who's going to give us the numbers? I mean, folks, you got to look at this like, I remember in the scandals that were taking place, right? You look at the scandals and CEOs. I mean, I'm not saying the WNBA is Enron, but nobody's opening up the books. If you think the books are going to be opened, then you're sadly mistaken. And let me tell you why. Because when the NBA negotiates, you know what the NBA Players Association wants? They want everybody to open up the books. When the NFL negotiates, you know what they want everybody to do? Open up the books. Well, ain't nobody opening up the books. Okay, we got an antitrust agreement. The government can't even come in here and say open up the books, right? It's not like we're getting Al Capone, right? There's double sets of books going on. But there's something going on, because the natural eye will never lie to me. It will never lie to me. And I'll tell you about the natural eye, and I'm going to tell you about Caitlin Clark here in just a sec. Christine Brennan said the WNBA was not ready for Caitlin Clark. All right, think about that. How many people can tell me the WNBA was ready for Caitlin Clark? They weren't. They didn't have the arenas, right? They don't have the parking. They don't have the concession. And I can tell you this for a fact. They don't have the merchandise prepared. Money Mike believes in Fanatics. I stand by Fanatics. I believe in the corporation. I believe in what they do. I believe in the just in time on the merchandise, on actually being able to process through. And I believe that the WNBA, even if they wanted to, here's the problem. Even if the WNBA wanted to, they couldn't sell as many jerseys that the people want to buy, because they can't print them. Can't print them that fast. They can't print them that fast, folks. And here's the thing that people get confused. See, marketing's a tricky thing. It's very tricky. So when you get a signature shoe, and I go and release 100 shoes and sell them, I sell them out, right? Well, that doesn't make any sense to me, because nobody has the actual number of how many shoes you sold. What they're trying to do is retain a price. They're trying to say if we sell out, then when we come out and release more shoes, we can maintain that price. Well, the WNBA has never been prepared to sell jerseys. And here's why. You can't sell jerseys, folks, when you have an expansion draft. It's impossible, right? Because the players have been on 6 teams. So now I got 6 of your jerseys, okay? When you stay on one team, right, and you get one number, then that means you're going to have it, right? 22, right? So you get the Team USA wants to play around with 22. Everybody knows CC is 22. So the WNBA was not ready, as Christine Brisbane said. Even if they wanted to make the jersey and all the merchandise possible, they weren't ready to do it. They never seen that kind of revenue before. And if you've never seen that kind of revenue before, then here's what happened. You make a multitude of mistakes, right? You pay your bills, but in the end, you're just running yourself ragged. And we saw that. We saw that with the officials. We saw that with the scorekeeping, right? You get excited because you think you made it, but you haven't made it. To do 41 national TV games, you need 41 digital camera. You need production. You can't go into the Atlanta Dream and be there on 720, right? Everybody, you're at 8K now. I mean, it's hard, folks. And that means that you got to get prepared with your infrastructure. And if you don't have infrastructure, right? You got to move these things to arenas because the number one market that the WNBA is not capitalizing on, but at a full capacity, is suites. You could sell a suite for $200,000 a year. Indiana can sell a suite for $200,000 a year. I don't know what Indiana suite costs. It may be more than that, right? It may be more than that. But that's how you make your money, and that's the advantage that Indiana has. As over 87 million boycott the NFL, well, you know what? You can. Okay, and that's Coldwood. Coldwood says, well, 87 million have boycotted the NFL. You can boycott it, but it's not going to stop it. They don't need fans. They played without fans, right, in the pandemic. The NFL is a bullet, and it's not going to be stopped. It won't. Big smoke. Kathy didn't have anything to do with that. If she would fix the officiating, it would have been even more because CC would not have been hurt, possibly be a champ in MVP today. That's coming from Big Smoke. Big Smoke, let me tell you something, Big Smoke. I like Big Smoke because Big Smoke will always hit me twice. When I give him his answer, he coming right. Big Smoke, bringing smoke. First of all, Big Smoke, a commissioner has nothing to do with an official. It's the farthest thing from their job, right? And a commissioner's job is merger and acquisitions, right? And when you get to this level of becoming a league, right, you don't need individuals to be out here, okay, that are going to go all the way up to the commissioner's office to fix the official, okay? If you're doing that, what do you got a president of the league for, right? What do you got vice presidents in the league for? Think about this. What do you got general managers for? That's why I don't understand Sue Bird on Team USA. That should be a general manager's job. That's not an owner's job, right? Unless you're a general manager in this league, you don't need to be running Team USA, right? It doesn't make sense. But the point I'm making, Big Smoke, here is the fact that, yeah, you can run up the number. You can run up the numbers as high as you want to run them on Caitlin Clark. You can run up the numbers. You can keep running. In fact, you can run them up to the moon on Caitlin Clark. But you must understand in sports, what goes up must come down, right? And without competition, Caitlin can't survive without competition, guys. I'm just telling you. Because I'll give you the old theory. It's kind of like, when I talk to Spectacular, he always tells me, you got the McDonald's and the Burger King. The Burger King McDonald's spent billions on research and development, R&D, but what did Burger King do? We'll put one in a mile within the radius, right? We're just going to follow you around is what we're going to do. So you got to look at that and say, if she doesn't have any competition, I'm telling you, if you don't have Angel Reese, and you guys always going to crap down on Angel Reese, but Angel Reese holds her own. Now, here's the deal what I'm talking about when I say Angel Reese holds her own. Okay, Indiana Fever fans, great fans, good loyalty. You guys might not waste 1 second on Angel Reese watching her on TV. Not 1 second. The only second you may be willing to invest is the second she plays Caitlin Clark, right? Which is fine. It's no problem. But that ain't how the rest of America feels. You've got a section in the Midwest, right? And they're building a big gigawatt data center, and they got all these data centers. Indiana's controlling the data for the world, guys. They took all that farmland and started putting data centers in. That's a massive overhaul. But you got to have competition. And at the end of the day, I'm not talking about bird magic or anything like that because they're women. They're not looking at that. They get on appearance, right? They're going to look at what your hair looks like, right? If you catch a player with a bad hair day, don't ever catch Skylar Diggins. If you want to see when Skylar Diggins is going off, because I've coached these women, if you catch them on a bad hair day, they're going to go off, right? And so the point I'm making is you got to have competition, right? There has to be Shell and Chevron. You can't just go out there and just say, okay, I'm going to be Standard Oil, right? And you're going to cut everybody off. You can't go out there and just say I'm going to be Tesla, and Tesla has no competition in the market, because then you're creating a monopoly. And Caitlin cannot have a monopoly on the WNBA. Now, what Caitlin can have a monopoly on is her fans, okay? And that's the dangerous part about Caitlin Clark. See, and that's what nobody wants to really accept and face. And that's something I'll talk to you going forward, even with Kathy Engelbert, right? Because I don't know why you guys pound on Kathy Engelbert. I'm lost. I have no one other than leadership. Well, that's about as ambiguous as you can get. Give me some specifics. Because at the end of the day, every dime that the WNBA players get, that's Kathy. You're not going to fool me. Unless you got somebody that's rang the NASDAQ bell in Wall Street. I'm talking business now. See, because business is not personal. Here's where I'm going with this, guys. Business is not personal. With Caitlin Clark and the Caitlin Clark, the Indiana fans, and I'm one of them, it's personal with me. It's personal with me and the fans with Caitlin. Let me tell you why it's personal. Because you're getting Showtime now. This is like I'm coaching. Let me tell you why it's personal, okay? Let me tell you why. It's because you guys came in here and told her she was a buster. You guys came in and told her she wasn't good. And I believed all that. Till I saw it. I saw you guys are the busters. Y'all can't even stop her. That puzzles me. I didn't see her be Chelsea Gray, Natasha Cloud, Kelsey Plum, Anescu. You can name every point guard. Gray. Caitlin done all y'all. Done all y'all. And y'all still cannot accept the fact that you have a Caucasian woman that could play basketball. This is ludicrous to me. And then you come to the stage and you want money. Well, if Beyonce can't perform, how are you going to get money? See, this is what gets me, but gets me back to my director, good old Coach V. I love her. But boy, oh boy, when it comes to the W, she ready to throw hands. These women are ready to squabble over the double, folks. Squabble is a term that Gen Z uses. They're always ready to squabble, but with Kathy Engelbert, I have no problem with Kathy Engelbert. Because none of this would be happening today if Adam Silver wouldn't appoint her. Now, you don't like her. Okay, I get that, but being a CEO is not a personality contest. Being a commissioner, it's not a personality contest. Roger Goodell is not in a personality contest. Major League Baseball commissioner is not in a personality contest. Those commissioners, Roger Goodell is only in it. I don't give a damn if you like me or not. I'm not your friend. I'm your commissioner. I'm here to run this league, okay, which is like Titanic, super Titanic, and he's willing to bridge off and work with Kathy. If you don't have somebody else that's going to get in Roger Goodell's office and work with Kathy lined up, if you don't have anybody that's willing to get in NASDAQ and line up with Wall Street, if you don't have anybody ready to line up with Amazon, she's brought the players to the table, then it's an asinine conversation. Because no CEO wants to run through the relationships again and meet new people after working with them for 5 years. Good Lord. This woman has done everything but give you the backs off her shirt. Let me tell you another thing. Since you don't like Kathy Engelbert, you better understand something about Kathy Engelbert. She's married. Her husband's from West Point. How do you don't understand West Point? Okay? Her husband is very active in the WNBA and the NBA. You got to do the homework. You got to do your research where you don't like somebody. Because the person you don't like is controlling your career, right? And they can make you disappear just like that. You don't understand that. You're walking on borrowed ground in the WNBA, and I'm telling you, Money Mike could be the first. I'm a no-tolerance guy, all right? And I run a tight ship, tight. I've coached these women. I know who's good. I've coached pros. And it's different for me because a lot of people bash and bang on women, okay? They just tell me you never could do what they're doing, right? Because anybody's coached at this high level. I told you about the Gumakeys, and I push the tempo, right? I'm up there at the Oregon Trail. This is a true story, right? We're locked in so good in defense. There's not a college coach who's not going to take one of my players because I got the best defenders in your conference, right? But the Oregon Trail, the signer, the one that's over the referees as they're going throughout, he comes running out of the stands. You can't let him play defense like that. I couldn't believe it. I'm at the Oregon Trails, Carl's Tinsley. That's what I tell you about the Guma case. I've got the signer of the officials running out, stopping our game in the middle of the game saying you cannot allow Showtime hoops to play defense like that. What, man-to-man? They can't play man-to-man? And we taught them a few tricks how to cheat, bump them out a little bit and get the offensive fouls. But guys, look, you can't babysit this thing. And you gotta let the stars be the stars. Because Caitlin cannot be the only star. She is a star. Caitlin cannot get any more star power than Caitlin has. Caitlin has so much star power, she's giving star power away. Sitting there with her teammates, hey, who wants to do Dunkin' Donuts commercial? Hey, who wants to go here and do Campbell's soup? I don't need it. Trust me, Caitlin don't need any more commercials. Caitlin has done it. Caitlin has done it and time again. You know what Caitlin wants to do? Get back to her own little world and play basketball. Caitlin is, I can tell you, just from putting them in the van and riding with them in the bus, these ladies are goofy, right? And with Caitlin is eating junk food, watching cartoons, lounging. You got to realize something with Caitlin Clark, guys. Caitlin's never had a job. Think about it. I mean, maybe Brent will say she worked at the local cannery or something, but I don't know if Caitlin ever had a job before. A lot of these women have never had a job, right? So looking at that is there. But Big Smoke, officiating ain't got nothing to do with it. Officiating, getting a new commissioner is not going to stop these players from hacking each other, right? And only if you want to stop these players from hacking each other, then you got to do it the Roger Goodell way, Big Smoke. And you know what that is? You fine them. First one's $15,000. Do it again, it's $30,000. Do it again, it's $45,000. I have your whole season check. So bad it make you quit. And now these players finally got it, and they were like, nah, we ain't losing no more money. So Big Smoke, I got you. Critical reality, growth must sustain beyond one player. Owners are asking internally, will fans stay long term? That's for rosterism. You got a great point there, 1178. Here's what he's asking. Critical reality growth must sustain beyond one player. That's right. That's right. I mean, you can't run a corporation with just a CEO. Okay, the whole thing, you gotta have an org chart, right? You gotta have your VPs, right? Okay, but you got even one CEO, you gotta move this side, you got a chief information officer, you got a chief financial officer. Move over this side, you got a chief technology officer. You got to have 4 or 5 chiefs. And right now, the WNBA has too many chiefs, not enough Indians, right? Because some of these people got to fall back and let the league take its course. But everybody's trying to control the league. What does Money Mike mean by control the league? Instead of putting Caitlin's photo on Team USA, you put other players. You're trying to pump other players when you got the diamond in the rough. When you get Tiger Woods, you pump Tiger Woods, right? You don't pump anybody else. PGA Golf was not like the WNBA fighting the battle of Tiger. They didn't like Tiger. Well, they did it different ways, because when he went in there, when Tiger went in there and blew him away at Augusta by 20 strokes, they redesigned the whole course. Caitlin Clark shoots so good. You know what they're doing? They want to lower the rim. Why are you going to take a shooter that's been shooting at 10 feet all their life and make it 9 feet? Come on, folks. Let's be wisdom here, huh? All right, let's keep it going. Who we got? Rosebawal. WNBA Joe, you can't call yourself professional athletes. They need to play like that. Well, that's opinion. That's great opinion. But you've never coached them. These guys play like men. It's not, folks, let me just tell you this. When you get to an Angel Reese, when you get to a Caitlin Clark, when you get to a Natasha Cloud, right? When you get to a Kelsey Plum, they play like men. They play like men. They want to get janky with it. Kelsey Plum knows, I ain't going to beat Caitlin straight up. This when you know. This when you know about Caitlin. This is what I got me about Caitlin. Because see, I challenge all the WNBA players on Caitlin. Because either you guys are going to put up or shut up. Because if you got to foul Caitlin, then you can't beat Caitlin. You're not better than Caitlin Clark. You're not as good as Caitlin Clark. The minute you show me you can play Caitlin Clark straight up, no chaser, she busts you out, you bust her out. That's basketball. When you guys get the fouling and doing all this kind of crap, that's because you're getting beat. And you know if Caitlin plays against you, she'll beat you. Because she will. And you know it. And that's the fact of life. So what you got to do, you got to double team her, triple team her. But guess what? That joke is up. Because guess why? Lexi Holland showed up. See, y'all were able to do all that to Caitlin. I like it. Money Mike gonna show up. One thing I tell you about me, folks, in grassroots basketball and coaching basketball, my women, let me tell you. I will always tell you about Caitlin. I will tell you what I mean by showing up. When I got into women's basketball in 212, I was a naive. I didn't know nothing about this women's basketball. It's basketball. Basketball's basketball, right? So we get a chance, we go down to St. Mary's, right? So I got to play my guy from the classics. He's Leroy Hurd. Leroy Hurd's a good coach, right? Coached at Oakland Tech, won a state championship in California, women's basketball, high school. But, so I get down there, I get him. Next up, man, I got West Coast Elite. Whew! They're third ranked in the country. They're coming out there 6'4", 6'5", right? They're coming out here 6'4", 6'5", 6'3", 6'1". Now I got all my 5'10", 5'11". I may got a 6-footer. Man, I jumped out on them 21-7. I had them on the ropes. We had them on the rope. Third ranked team in the country. Nobody knows who we are. We're matched up man to man. We're locking them down. We ain't giving them no air, right? But then coach figured out, well, we got to use our size. So he started doing tip drills, high-lows, right? And that's where I go with the Gumakays. The Gumakays in women's basketball, they had the best high-low I've ever seen in my life. Well, at the Oregon Trail, I saw them throw that ball between the two sisters. And boy, that one that's playing now, she could, oh my goodness, she's like a wide receiver. She could catch that ball no matter, best high-low in the business. But Caitlin is so good that you got to make her look bad. Think about that. When a player is so good, you got to figure out a way to make them look bad. How about just enjoying the player's game? Let the player ball out. Larry Bird balled out on you. The brothers ain't had no problem with it. But Larry Bird said, man, I'm going to bust you up. You better get somebody else on me. But that's basketball. If Caitlin needs to be Caitlin. And guys, listen to me. Let me tell you something about this game of basketball with Caitlin. Let me tell you something about Caitlin in the Big Ten. Caitlin Clark has been in that Big Ten kicking, scratching, fighting for 4 years. Kicking, scratching, and fighting for 4 years, folks. Think about that. Time to go out and get some weight, lift some weights right now. Kicking, scratching, and fighting for 4 years. Iowa. What kind of treatment do you think the WNBA can do? I want you to think about that. Do you believe the WNBA can be more physical than the Big Ten? And what you've seen, because I didn't see it in the last 4 years of Caitlin. Because I know Indiana ain't giving a damn about no Caitlin Clark. I know Wisconsin, they don't give a damn about Caitlin. I know Michigan don't give a damn. Ohio State don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? And then you got all these fans in here just, goodness gracious. I'm like, Lord have mercy. I went out there and I watched Indiana play Northwestern many years ago. Mike Davis, who's the head coach, just took over for Bobby Knight, right? I'm sitting right behind the bench. Folks, that student population, you might as well give your players some earplugs. You might as well give the players earplugs. They're cussing, they're yelling, they're F-bombing you, they're nasty. The student population, you go in there with the Duke Blue Bubbles, you see everybody hopping up and down there in Chapel Hill, they're nasty up in there, right? So with Caitlin, ain't nothing the WNBA gonna do to Caitlin that the Big Ten hasn't already done to Caitlin. So at the end of the day, Caitlin, the bottom line is this. Caitlin's just a damn good basketball player, and sometimes you gotta wake up and get over it. You know, I might not like the Seahawks, but, you know, when the Seahawks put a football team together, they do a damn good job. I don't give a damn about Tom Brady, but Tom Brady is a damn good quarterback. I like Aaron Rodgers, okay? But I can't diffuse the fact that Tom Brady's got 8 Super Bowls. No matter how great I say Aaron is, ain't nobody going to be listening to Mike talking about Aaron Rodgers the same when you got 1 Super Bowl. Might not quit playing. You see how that come back. We started together, we finished together. So you got a coach coming back, knows Aaron well. But let's keep it pushing. Yeah, that's the truth. And they just realized, okay, who do we got? Nobody watches Quigley. Quigley says nobody watches the WNBA. Let me tell you something, man. Everybody watches the WNBA. Everybody watches the WNBA. That's another fallacy. See, you can get people saying things, and if people keep preaching the same thing again and again, the only difference between Money Mike and everybody else, Money Mike lives on the positive side of life. So if my kids call me and start talking negative, click, you call me back when you got something positive to tell me. My son, click, you call me back when you got something positive. I cut the negativity out, right? Because you have to understand negativity likes to dump on you. See, and this is why they're trying to get inside the Indiana Fever. Now I'm going to go back home to the Vacalis. Ain't no doubt about it. But this is why they trying to get into Indiana Fever. Let me tell you about it. I got to get a new chair. And I got a company wants to send me a brand new chair. I got so many, the brand. But here's the deal. You got so many people want to get into the dirt and tell you how bad it is in Indiana. If I'm playing in the league, you got to understand, Indiana Fever are like the San Francisco 49ers. We're the best in the league. We're not going to shuttle. We're not going to do anything different here. We're just the best in the league. And so you get people who don't have a good situation, right? They want to come over and destroy what you have because their house is not as, I don't know, cute as your house, or their dress is not as good as your dress, or their hair is not, or whatever. You get more money, or whatever excuse they want to come up with. But the bottom line is, Indiana's got to put on the blinders, and they got to run like in the Kentucky Derby, and they got to run the race. The bottom line is, Stephanie White needs to win the damn championship. Bottom line. Not with this, and the free agent and everything. I will tell you this, if Stephanie White doesn't win, I'm going to be surprised if Indiana retains her. Now, I'm going to be surprised because the Indiana Fever fans are the one that's really hammering down on Coach White. Coach White needs to understand, man, you better get your fan base. Because, see, Coach White is a big-time celebrity, guys. So Coach White is willing to stand her ground, and that's not good. That's not good because that's not what you want around Caitlin is a coach that's pushing back. So you need a coach like Becky who just kind of gets out of the way. If you notice with Becky, take a look at this, guys. With Becky, here's what Becky does. I'll show you Becky. Becky walks around the court with her arms folded, just looking. Look at you idiots play. Look at you guys don't want to rebound. Puts her little hoodie on. Look at you guys go. That's Becky, right? Becky will sit around, you hear Asia, everybody cry, here comes Becky, right? But at the end of the day, Becky is smart enough to know these guys are pros. I'm not going to entertain the fact of whether they win or lost, and she knows Asia is going to play what Asia wants to play. She knew Asia and Bam were getting closer and closer. And one thing Becky hates is when Bam comes to Vegas when it's Summer League. Because Asia is not into basketball. He's perfect for me. You got Mom, you got Roscoe. They want grandbabies, right? So then you got to look at these things here. But Asia has done Asia's work, right? So you can't knock that. But they held and pushed Asia. And before Caitlin Clark, guys, be honest with yourself. Who was it? It was Brianna Stewart. That was the battle. Who's better? Brianna Stewart was kicking that. That was Showtime. I'm sorry. Kicking tail. Okay? It's kicking tail. But you got to understand, they wanted somebody else. So it's always going to be somebody else. Doesn't matter. Whoever it is, there's always going to be somebody else. The W feels good about their players. ESPN felt a certain way about their players. And it kept going on and on and on until they kept trying to get rid of Caitlin. You're not going to get rid of Caitlin Clark. Get over it. That's what Money Mike says. Just get over it. Right? Here's a guy, Go Hawks, come play with the Super Bowl champs. I like that. Tony Bainham says, one dirty player, Plum. Well, Plum is dirty. She's a competitor. But you got to understand something. Okay, in professional sports, guys, cheating is encouraged. If you want to put a little of that on it, put a little spit on it, and go back and, wipe your lip right around here, get a little of that oil on that, and throw that baseball and get that ball some extra movement. Cheating's encouraged, right? If you want to get in there and you want to make sure you want to send somebody else to the free throw line that was the wrong person, but they let them shoot anyway, it's encouraged. Whatever advantage you can take in professional sports, you take. Because they're not going to put an asterisk by your name saying that we lost the Super Bowl because of this. They're just going to list the champion. Right now, the Las Vegas Aces are the champion. I don't even know how. They were playing. But Asia Wilson is so bigger, stronger, and faster. Then you had Jackie Young, and you had all these Olympians. But now I can't see them getting max contracts from one unless they go over this luxury cap. All right, let's call it out. Debbie Oden, Liberty owner, already said Caitlin Clark brought the money and the viewership. Ain't no doubt about it. Let me ask you guys a question. You got to be honest with yourself, because I know the WNBA, and I know everybody. You got to be honest with yourself. And that's a hard reality, because looking in the mirror, even Money Mike has to look in the mirror. I got to say, hey, Mike, you know what? You got to switch it up. Son says, Dad, you got to enjoy yourself more. This is social media, so Money Mike's giving you a little showtime, right? But you got to be honest with yourself. right? And you want to really not get caught up in believing, that you can do something you can't do. And nobody, I'm going to tell you right now, there's never been a player in the WNBA that has brought in 50% new fans. The WNBA was at 8,000 people. Caitlin Clark changed that, folks. She changed it. Turned it around, made it something good, right? But what did she get? She got crapped on for doing it, right? She didn't do anything. She went in there and Angel Reese, smartest cookie in the jar, right? Angel Reese did like this, and now you're talking $9 million later. So who's the biggest fool? Is Angel Reese the biggest fool? Is Angel Reese the biggest joker? Right? Did that matter with Caitlin? Because Caitlin and Angel don't really care. They're not friends, but they've been around her since 7th, 8th grade. These girls have been playing in the same events for a long time. But you can't be, you don't want to get yourself. It even goes back to the NFL with Broadway Joe. They didn't want to hurt Joe Namath in the NFL because he was holding the league together. They didn't want to hurt Tom Brady because he's holding the league together. They didn't want to hurt Michael Jordan. He's holding the league together. Sometimes you got to look at who's holding the league together. And if a player has brought you 8,000 more fans, now you could say we had it already, but damn, you didn't. Because if you did, it would have been there when she arrived. The WNBA would have been full sellout capacity. And that's the salary cap I don't know. They don't ever want you to tell me about a cap when we're not built out. Tell me if I get everything built out, everything sold, all merchandise, everything going, what it's going to be. And that's where the women make money. But you got to quit wearing everybody else's merchandise. I don't understand. Why is Coach in the WNBA and no players are doing Coach commercials, right? Why does the WNBA take sponsors that they don't do commercials with? It doesn't make sense. And the WNBA with the merchandise, if they could ever figure it out, is the cookie cutter program. The WNBA, Nike can design anything you want. Nike can design anything. Nike can design your nightwear, can design dresses, whatever you want. You got a golden opportunity in merchandise. Don't lose it, ladies. You want to make sure. Because Caitlin's numbers, you can't stop Caitlin's numbers now. It's too late. It's too late to stop Caitlin. Caitlin is so far, is like Secretariat. When you get a 30 lead in the Kentucky Derby, it's like, who's battling for second? She's way out there. And the problem is, Caitlin's gotten so far out there, the WNBA's got to balance that. You can't have one athlete running amok way out there and then have the athlete presenting in the league. Pretty soon she doesn't even be in the league. The league's too small. And everybody's got to realize that. The WNBA is too small for Caitlin. It really is. Okay, nobody realized that the WNBA was too small for Asia. But nobody's realizing that. And the fact that you're willing to sit and do a CBA and pay Asia the same max contract as somebody else, folks, really, it should be an exception for Asia. Asia Wilson should get $15 million from the WNBA. Okay, do you understand that? I got 4 MVPs and 3 WNBA championships in a short window of time. And she did exactly what Caitlin Clark did. Sold out Las Vegas. So what's the difference? There isn't one, guys. Now, Indiana, Caitlin has more fans that have brought around. Asia has been in this league for a long time, so it's not Asia Wilson's job to go out and get fans. Think about that. That's Angel's job now, right? To keep that margin going so not only you have 2 cultures in a community. You could have a Caucasian and African-American community growing together. But you got to realize you also have a Russian community. You also have a Hispanic community. You got other Asians. You got other nationalities that play basketball, folks. It's not just 1 and 2. It's not just Angel and Caitlin. All right? And we got to stick to it to get there, right? And the Liberty's right. I mean, Caitlin brought it in. See, it's one thing to bring the money in. Now, what do you do with the money? And that's what I'm talking about. Think about this, folks. You got a WNBA exchanging $17 million in merchandise, but you got a $1.5 million cap. You got a $1.5 million cap. How's that possible? It doesn't work, right? I wish we could see the breakdown of merch sales by player. That's what I'm waiting on. If I had my choice, hey, man, I've done a lot of opportunities. And opportunities, guys, are just at AT&T where your job is to go in there and show them how to make more money. Right now, I can triple profits. I can take one player and magnify it to them, and this is where it got player management. I'm going to take my one player, right, and I'm going to line this player up. I'm going to promote her just like a corporate enterprise business. She's going to speak on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. She's going to have camps Tuesdays and Thursdays. She's got to go for this engagement, and then you have the merchandise, and it's their merchandise, right? Because you also have the WNBA merchandise, but you also have you have your camps and different things. So you're really your own entity, even though you're playing in the WNBA. And I think a lot of people get that confused. They think they're just a player. No, you're not just a player. You're more than a player, but you got to have somebody in Gen Z. It's different because they're not as receptive of understanding the business model, and sometimes they reject it. Folks, we've covered a lot today. Money Mike, don't want to rain on the WNBA, but how much of the total revenue accounted for pro rata deficit service? Wow. Okay. Money Mike, don't want to rain in on the WNBA parade. How much of total revenue was accounted for pro rata debt/deficit service? That's a good one. All right. So you're talking about investors and rounds. Pro rata debt. Pro rata. Let's talk pro rata for quick, because this is going to get a little complicated. I'll do as quick as I can. I'll try to make it simple as I can. You got the 16% investors. Okay, are they the Uncle Pete, or they not in pro to invest? Because you got what's happening here. When you get to pro rata, you're in a cash intensive business, the WNBA. You need capital. You need a lot of capital. You need a lot of capital. So those 16% investors, where they say Nike is heavily invested, the WNBA may need another round. They need another round of money. Okay, they need another round. And this time we ain't talking about $75 million. Okay, we're talking about another round of money for the WNBA, right? So when you get to there and you're talking pro rata, what you're talking about is those investors are ready to kick in more money. Okay, so they're not willing to get diluted down. They're saying, we got big pockets here. How much you need, right? We got big pockets, right? But here's a flip side of that, right? You got to look at it from what they're saying is debt and a deficit, okay? Debt and a deficit. Let's take the example of the $8 million, okay? So was that profit, or was that just another debt added to the deficit that we've created over the last 30 years? Because the deficit and the debt are two different things, right? You got to understand that. The debt's the $8 million. That's what we came up with, right? Was that profit or was that debt, right? But we're just adding that to the deficit of the last 30 years, right? So the equity of the building and everything, the depreciation. Guys, listen. Kathy is such a wizard. And when you get these arenas and everything, there's so many write-offs. There's so many depreciation of assets. There's so many things that you could do, right? But we are not going to hear the real story on the 16% of those investors, okay? And I know Nike's in. Nike's in for the haul. And when you get Nike in, Nike's long-term financial. We're going to solve and do a change, right? But everyone else, so it may be that 16% might be Uncle Pete. I didn't think about that till I read that. That may be Uncle Pete sitting over there. If you need some more money, come to us versus us going out and making another round. But because they're Uncle Pete, their 16%'s locked in. Ain't getting no lower than that. You need money, you come here, right? Because we're with you. We're trying to keep ours, but everybody else keeps diluting down. So that 42%, every time they add a team, every time they expand, that 42, 38, 35, that's not going to change in the amount of share you're going to get. It's still, but you may be under the illusion, okay, that you're holding more than you're actually holding, and you're not. All righty, well, listen, guys. Look, man, there's so much more going on. See a breakdown. Let's see, Lava Kimma. I wish we could see a breakdown in merch sales. Nope, they ain't going to give you that. Trudy, Trulillo, what's going on, Trudy? Yep, they have tons of money. I'm not surprised at all. Listen, Trudy, you're 100% correct. Ain't no doubt about it. Trudy says, where did they find it? Well, they looked underneath the couch. You know, but at the end of the day, I had no idea the owners. I mean, I wasn't looking at the Players Association. Players Association is selling merch like crazy. In fact, they need to be the player's agent. The players skip the union, just be their agent. Because the merch, you got to understand, since 220, the WNBA Players Association was willing and able to go in there and get what? $9 million? That's a big strike fund, folks. It's a big strike. That'll hold the players over. If they gave up 9, they got another 9. And really, the players don't even have to play because the union had just paid a salary, right? That's how much money you're talking about here. The chuckle. Now, Kathy, did anybody pocket? Did these players receive $8 million? No. Kathy, I don't get the Kathy deal. WNBA and WNBA players such as afraid. NBC and Caitlin will do an investigation in the finance of the league. Yeah, I mean, you can get. Here's what happened. Here's what's going to happen. It's a program that ESPN did really well, and they did it for years. It's called Outside the Lines. Outside the Lines. When they start breaking down all of this, folks, and you start looking at all this stuff, and most people from the natural eye, I mean, you're going to be able to see, wait a minute, I got 17,000 people in this arena. Right? Okay. Oh, yeah, they're serving drinks. Yeah, parking. The parking's full. Pretty soon you start adding up the numbers. You don't need the books to add up the numbers. You just need to know how to go find the information, and it's right there. And the WNBA is a profitable business. Anybody telling that is any of these owners want to sell their teams? Because I don't think so. And if you got more, it's all about supply and demand, basic economics, right? You got more people trying to get in than you're trying to get out. Once you ask one of the New York Liberty sell their team, they're like, you got to be nuts. Think about it. Go ask Mark Davis. He bought in for $2 million. You think he's going to take $3 million? You got to be nuts. I'm not taking this. This goes into my legacy. Think about that, folks. I always shout out to Will Kiss, public relations down there with the Las Vegas Raiders. That's a good guy. He's been around a long time running public relations for the Las Vegas Raiders. I like that guy. All right, then the bottom one, I'll go one more. Thank you for rightly including Angel Reese in the contribution to growth of the NBA. Folks, let me tell you something. It doesn't matter if a person contributed 1%. They contributed. All right? And you got to get past that and realize that because Angel's valuable. Angel, let me just tell you, whether you want to accept it or not, or people want to accept, Angel Reese is valuable to the WNBA. I don't care how you look at it. All right? When she's out there putting on Victoria's Secret, they're not looking at her as Angel Reese. They're looking at her as a WNBA player. They're like looking at this model, and they're saying WNBA player. Some of them don't even know her name, and they're going, who's that? That's the WNBA player, Angel Reese. See, she's in Germany. She's Australia, international waters. But here's the thing I want to bring back. And I've been talking about it. Stay on American soil, guys. It's high in its intensity right now. You see what's going on in Mexico. I mean, you could be on a simple Carnival cruise and get trapped. You know, I'm not interested in sending anybody overseas. They're not dying. JS, what's cooking? Players ask your union to open the books. This is ironic or just a joke. Give the players the money with interest, please. That's what it is. Folks, I enjoyed it. Little Q&A. I wanted to come back, give you a little showtime. It's heated. You come back to me, let me know. I try to cover as much as I can, but the WNBA is a solid business. And all these people, here's the thing. WNBA can't make a profit. WNBA is going to fold. You know what all those people are? They're choking right now. They're choking. You know why? Because they've been preaching this for a long time. But Money Mike told you one thing. I said WNBA ain't going nowhere. They ain't going nowhere. They ain't going nowhere. But Money Mike's trying to get a team in Sacramento. I'm like, look at here. I could do business in Sacramento. But for people who thinking the WNBA is going to fold, you lost your mind. David Sampson, you lost your mind. You're crazy. WNBA can't fold. They can't fold. You get too big to fail, right? We're talking bigger than Lehman Brothers now. It's too big to fail. There's too many players in the game, and the players are here for ROI. And when you can ring the bell on NASDAQ, if you got somebody else that can jump in Kathy, because Kathy, I'm telling you, she's got a husband from West Point. Dangerous situation, folks. Caveat emptor, let the buyer beware and careful what you say to people. Okay, because you may look at her leadership, but you need to look at her husband's leadership. Okay, because you might be missing a boat. All right, when people come out of West Point and military academies, smartest people in the world. All right, so this is not new to Money Mike, but I'm like, careful what you say and make sure that you always take time to think before you talk. Right? Measure your words. Okay, measure your words. Kind of like the Barber brother, Kiki and Rondo. Well, Kiki never measured his words. He didn't really care. He went in there and said Eli Manning would be the worst there ever is, never be a Super Bowl quarterback. He won that next year because they didn't have you, Kiki. And Rondé Bomber said, look, here's the deal. My brother doesn't measure his words. Some people, when you talk to him, I got an older brother like this, before he speaks, it takes him about 3 minutes to say a word. I'm like, how do you professors talk? You think, then it says back, right? I mean, measure your words, WNBA players, because your words are what's going to keep you in this league. If you don't measure your words, then your words will keep you out. Folks, we've reached the plateau. Money Mike's Syndicated Radio activated record, 1 hour of tape. Let's get it in. We'll see you soon. Remember, it's my opinion, and all things are possible to those who believe.